I'm John Kevin, Caleb's friend, and we met in the city of Connecticut, in a city in Connecticut.
Stanford, Connecticut.
Ooh, doxed us. No, just kidding.
Wait, really?
No, you're fine.
You think that's too much information?
No, that's fine. So, we met in a gym in Stanford. I'm just playing with you, man. How about you, Caleb? Who are you?
Yeah, my name is Caleb, and my last name is QI, and
my address is.
And I'm a quantitative. I used to be a quantitative analyst. All right, so driving with. So we just finished a book. What is the book called again?
The book is called Secrets of Power, Volumes 1 and 2 by Ingo Swann.
Right, and I think it talks about a lot of things, but it essentially talks about how there's more senses to it starts out with an analogy that you're in a Ferrari, but you're driving a Ferrari, but you were only given the manual to a golf cart, and it kind of like maps onto the human experience by saying that you're more powerful than you realize because you have a lot more senses than
the five senses
that you've been told, and you've been kind of like limited by this societal structures.
Yeah.
And the societal structure isn't that way because of this, like, very few people deliberately trying to control the world. It's kind of like a self-preserving mechanism of this system to ensure that not everybody has access to or realizes that they're powerful. Otherwise, they're gonna like overthrow the entire system.
And I do want to preface. Sorry, I don't mean to cut off, but I do want to preface. I was using the I forgot the name of the app I was using now.
Notebook LLM.
Notebook LLM. I had uploaded a PDF of the book, and it synthesized the text into a podcast, and we listened to one of those podcasts. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yep. And so those were the main points. Number one, that we're humans are more powerful than they think they are, and number two, that they are made to think that they're not as powerful by the system because of the system's inherent self-preserving mechanism. And was there a final point?
I think those are the two main points. I think you summarized what we just listened about really well.
Okay.
Do you want to bring up the...
Yeah, like after listening to that, there were kind of three questions that I had, or three topics that I thought of talking about. Number one is, this book is trying to empower people and explain to them that they have more power than they actually think they do. So doesn't that go against the system's inherent preserving structure? And what happens when everybody reads this book and becomes empowered? Doesn't that mean the system is fucked then? What happens when everybody realizes they have the power? So instead of like that very squeezed triangular structure, it now becomes like that structure is not going to exist anymore because more people are going to want to compete for the top spot, or want to rise upward hierarchically. And what happens when everybody becomes empowered? And number two, back to number one, I feel like maybe that's kind of like in the lines with like communism and like Karl Marx's and Engels' ideas, but I don't know. There's going to be some sort of revolution. Maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about it later. But then point number two is, what was point number two?
Point number three was about death. But before
point number two was that, discussion point number two.
The senses, or
was it the senses? It's okay to take time to think too. We don't always have to fill the space in.
I know we had talked about this. The podcast talked about senses. Did it have to relate to that? I forget.
Or what? Talking about senses.
Realizing like truths, or like a truth that you think is true. I know we talked about that. Or like your truth about death. I think that's the third point.
Yeah, I know that's the third point. I think it was also about me specifically, that realizing that I'm empowered and realizing that I'm empowered. This is the thing about getting points across. Like I'm not good enough at bullet pointing.
Dude,
things,
I forgot the
1, 2,
second
and
point
3.
too.
Fuck,
So
man.
I forgot the second point too. Do you want to just skip to?
No. I want to try to like recall it. It might take a while.
Okay, no worries.
It might take a couple minutes.
I'm trying to okay, while you recall it, I'm gonna go through what like the.
You can talk about what you think about point.
Well, no, I'm gonna go through the
Reverse.
podcast to see if we can reclaim point 2.
Okay.
It started off with the Ferrari example that we were handed a golf cart manual when we were actually a Ferrari, and that is to limit our beliefs of our true potential. It then goes into some of the like senses, like how we're told we have 5 senses, but really we have like 17 or something like that. Senses, and I'd say it pinpointed some of those senses, like your sense of gravity, sense of time, sense of like your gut feeling, sense of temperature change, things like that. So like they're scientifically backed senses. And then it went into the latter part of the podcast talked about like some steps, actionable steps you can take to start to empower yourself.
What were those steps again? Do you remember?
I think the first step was to reframe your mind to try to dismantle some of those limiting beliefs.
Oh yeah, I remember the second point now. Yes, okay. Thank you. It was that I think in that context of purposefully trying. So it talks about how you can't just drive 200 miles per hour in your Ferrari and like just floor it without knowing the manual. You have to understand the system. You have to understand how the system operates. And I mentioned my second discussion point was that I feel like sometimes I want to like just post whatever the fuck on Instagram, like literally anything to fully exercise my free will. At least it feels like that for me. But sometimes it's in detriment to like my social status or
image,
people image. Yeah, people might think I'm a fucking idiot or something. But for me, like in my mind, I'm like, I don't care. I want to live my life however the fuck I want. But what that book mentions is that it's not like super wise. That is like it warns against that. It warns against that and advocates for more wisdom in actually understanding the system, because there needs to be a right thing done at the right time, at the right place, to the right people. And so yeah, that's a second point.
Can I expand on that point too?
Go ahead. Yeah.
It was actually a criticism of like modern day self-help books too, to tie into that point, is because modern day self-help books prescribe like kind of a toxic positivity, and like saying, oh, if you just believe in yourself and you are like a god in your own right, and like you can just manifest your reality and stuff, that will just not work in your favor, basically. I just wanted to make that clarification.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Dude, we're sounding just like the podcast. Like, oh, exactly.
Yeah, except like, real.
But
and
yeah,
the third point.
And the third point was just that. So towards the very end of this podcast, they kind of introduce a final point for leaving the final point for the audience, and that final point is to think about one limitation of yourself that was introduced to you from an external, from the external world, that you could try to overcome, essentially. And for me, that I thought that one point is like death, because the fact that I'm gonna die, because it's like introduced to me by this external world. Simply by existing, you're gonna die. But I know it's kind of like an edgy point, but
I don't think that's edgy. I think that's very real.
Not edgy, but like not
morbid.
It's more of like a challenging point. Like I know that the book was probably expecting to talk about points that are like social, for example, that other people are going to judge you and stuff like that, which I do think are also similarly external points. But by the way, you wanted to start from the back to the fourth, right?
Yeah, I want.
So
I
we
want
can just
to
start at this right now.
I want to start with that last point you just made about death. I want to say and this is entirely my perspective. Like that is a rule. Like that is a rule that is put in place, that is ingrained within you, that you're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
I want to challenge that. Death is just yes, death is a permanent thing for your physical body, but I see it in a more spiritual sense, and that your spirit like never dies, I guess. So that's the way I kind of perceive it. But I see your point. You're probably thinking about it more literal, like literally you're gonna die, right? That's like how you. That's how your take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you that I don't think the spirit dies. I think it's just the body. But
I think that's a valid point, though. Like that is one thing. That's a perfect example of what the podcast and the book challenge you to do, is to think of a point like a fit. And I want to address something that I want, like my point, my thing that kind of fits along with that death theme. Like the thing that has been prescribed to me, that always I think about is like just the, quote unquote physical limitations of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the way I did want to, before I move on to that point, did you want to discuss the death point more, or? I think when I talk about
limitations, I think the book was talking about more external limitations in general, not just like physical, like societal expectations, and stuff like that.
I see. And I think the book is centered around like societal limitations, but the way I see it is like the like universal physics, like gravity and stuff. Like, I'm not saying you can fly just by believing you can fly or whatever, but I think there's more to this reality than meets the eye, I guess. And that's just what I think.
Yeah, that's what the book's point, and I agree.
Like for example, we don't know what happens at the nanoscale. Like, what the hell is quantum, or the quantum scale? Like, what's quantum entanglement, and like how, like, there's so much that we don't understand about the world that is yet to be explored, I guess. Mm-hmm. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
And I think we can tie it to your point about death, is like, there's all these theories about what happens when you die. No one knows, and you only know once you experience it, but by that point you're not able to like convey what happens because you're dead, right? I don't know.
I guess, so the book mentioned that what's one limitation that is like external. I don't know if they wanted us to like challenge it, but I feel like in Christianity it is kind of challenged. Christianity challenges the idea that you're going to die, and it's like a purely physical occurrence. And Christianity challenges it by introducing, or by advocating. I don't know if that's the right word, advocate, but in Christianity there's this idea that the spiritual part of you, the soul, is eternal. And I feel like that's along the lines of what this book is trying to convey, which is to like break down the paradigms of what you've been taught, like what everybody else,
even what we
the
perceive
world thinks
too.
And perceive. Yeah,
I think it's
because you perceive that when people die, it's like a light going out. 人死如灯灭 in Chinese means like when a person dies, it's like a light light going out. But in Christianity, it's not necessarily the case, and I think that goes along with the idea of this book that you shouldn't just rely on your senses, because when you observe somebody dying, that's all that happens. You're looking through your eyes, you're using those 5 senses. But if you expand to use your 17 or more senses, maybe you will start to realize that it's more than just like death. But
I think that hits the nail on the head, really. Like I think personally, I think we can wrap. Like, do you want to wrap that subject?
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
I think that's.
I think I wrapped it
on a
up
good subject.
just now.
You ended it on a solid note.
So
the second, again working backwards, the second point you had made is
posting on Instagram.
Posting on Instagram, or like being aware of the rules before you put the pedal to the metal and floor at 200 miles per hour, right?
Yeah.
Because I think it is interesting. The book does, and the book and the podcast, based on the book, does a good job in warning you that, yeah, it doesn't want to overly empower you. In my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I think it wants to make you. It truly just wants to make you aware that you are more powerful than you think, but it doesn't want you to just jump off a building thinking you could fly or something like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I keep on going back to that example because of the last Matrix movie I watched, but I think that to that point of like not posting on social media, like exercising your free will to the full extent without regard for what other people think about you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a basic point of the book, though, is because society, the way society is structured, and the way that it's like there's social repercussions to certain actions, right?
Yep.
And that's just the way, like, society doesn't want you to go against the grain, or if you do, you're perceived as edgy or like fringe, you know? So I don't know. Do you have like more? Do you have more on that point?
Yeah, actually, I think it. From listening to what you said, I feel like point 2 can be tied to the first point, because those like what I was doing on Instagram was like posting just complete free will, almost like this expectations is like this wall that I'm trying to bash and destroy and like break through, and just like be totally free and just do whatever the fuck I wanted. But it comes from a place that assumes that wall is like limiting and it's bad, you know, that all these guidelines are like restricting me from who I am, so I want to break them. And point number 1 that the discussion point number 1 that we mentioned, that the book talked about, was that these like guidelines are actually not deliberate and malicious, but this kind of like built-in system preserving part of this system trying to preserve itself. So it's not like deliberately negative or deliberately trying to restrict you. It's more like just these guidelines that
this is how it is.
Us all as a society, like in order for us to preserve in order for the system to preserve itself, these guidelines do exist. And so building on top of that, consequently, then, like me posting on Instagram, I should be mindful of these limitations, not because I should be somewhat mindful of this of the system's like guidelines.
It's like a balance, right? You don't want you do 0 or 100.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're trying to find that middle ground, right?
Yeah, like in the case with a Ferrari, maybe even though we're driving a Ferrari and we don't necessarily have to go 200 miles per hour, but we can like
go 60.
We can go 60.
Speed.
We can go 100 we can go 100 in places where the speed limit is 100.
Like on an Autobahn or something.
Or we can go like 80 in a place where the speed limit is 70. We can go 60 in a place where the speed limit is 50. So it all like depends, but knowing that you have the capacity to go faster is really the point.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I think that example you just, like expanding on that example, like knowing that. Well, one, that you are like they use the Ferrari example to represent your inner power and stuff, but knowing that you are a Ferrari, I think, is the first step and enough to push you in the right direction. Because the analogy that they said, like you're a Ferrari, but the dealership hands you a manual to a golf cart, thinking that you can only go 15 miles per hour max, right?
Yeah,
is like a limiting belief, right? It's like is a purposely limiting your potential, like not even like your physical potential, but but in a way your physical potential, because your mind dictates how much you think you can do, right? Would you agree with that point?
Yeah.
So if you want to expand on it.
Yeah, so I guess back to the Instagram, like we're still technically on point 2.
Yeah.
But we can like try to shift that to point 1.
Sure.
But sort of like to wrap up point 2, in terms of the Instagram context, taking all of this into account, that these societal guidelines or societal expectations and norms or whatever is not necessarily like before I just wanted to like break through. I didn't give a fuck about any of these. I tried to like deliberately not give a fuck about any societal norms and just post like the video of me like fucking rolling on a gym floor just to like be fun or whatever. I mean, it was fun to like act without any like guidelines, but in hindsight, maybe some people are gonna be like, whoa, maybe they're not gonna think I'm a fucking idiot, but maybe they're gonna be like, okay, why are you doing this, you know? And I think that's a totally reasonable question. So in general, going forward, I think it is wise to understand like these norms that we operate in. Just understand them, not necessarily like fully, not necessarily like seeing them as rules, but not necessarily like seeing them as rules that I definitely can't cross, but realizing that there's conditional situations where, you know, it's all conditional.
Where it's okay to push back a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, like right place, right time, right person, right way of doing things.
It really sounds like discernment, like what you're describing.
Yeah,
like discernment as well. One as they say in like in the Christian text, but also context, but also in general, like practicing discernment, right?
Yeah,
of what you take in and like what you do. Okay, continue.
So yeah, it's important to like still be aware of that societal like expectations and try to be like, you shouldn't like strictly, oh, I just want to be normal. I like operate within these boundaries, not cross them. But recognizing that you have the ability to, and like it's not the end of the world if you do it. It's just that these guidelines are there so that you don't become a social outcast or something. Like I shouldn't just like run naked on the street or something.
Yeah,
that's legal. I had a conversation with a friend, an old coworker, on this. Like he wanted me to like, we were talking about how there's fears. Okay, maybe this is like going into another topic, but I don't know, just briefly mention it. We were talking about how in order for you to like feel like truly free or like overcome fears, you can kind of use exposure. So he kind of proposed, like, think of something that is like really out there, and my immediate kind of like extreme example that I mentioned was running naked on the street. That's obviously in this context of point 2, like very extreme and would turn me into a social outcast.
Frowned upon, yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, in general, like, I think the conclusion is that yes, I should be aware of these social norms and try to operate within them, and that they're actually like good. Not like good, but well, maybe good. But
just understanding the nature of the world around you. I think that's the point. I think this is a good segue into point 1.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. With point 1.
Is the fact that yes, your point 1 was saying that society like is a self-preserving system. Like it's meant to have like a handful of people at the top, and the vast majority of people, quote unquote, powerless, right? And they use power for context. They use power not in the sense of like, they basically use it as like as a way to gauge like your social. Well, it's weird because they touch on the social power, but also the intrinsic power within you, right? But yeah, in this context, we're using the sense of power. Like to your point of point 1 was saying how what happens if everyone is empowered and then like the system collapses, right? I want to challenge that point in saying, is the system collapsing inherently bad?
Well, I don't think I think the system is going to collapse actually now. I think this book trying to make people become empowered is actually if more people like realize their full potential, this system is going to be better than before instead of collapsing.
I agree.
It's going to be better because there's not going to be as many people at the very bottom. Right now it's inverted, you know. It needs to be more like a triangle rather than squeezed, where there's very few people at the top and then most people are at the bottom. So maybe the book is trying to empower people so that this
there's
triangle
more in the middle.
More in the middle. The triangle becomes more balanced.
More like an actual pyramid.
More like a pyramid than like a fucking like squeezed pyramid where there's.
I think that's a good
at the
point,
bottom.
and I didn't even think about it like that, but I think that's actually a great point. I mean, yeah, you can, and for more context, this book was written like the volumes were written in the early 2000s by Ingo Swann. So this is like, I think the themes are still relevant today. Like you see a shrinking middle class, you know, not even just like economic, but just societal, everything like that.
Yeah.
Where you have the haves and the have-nots, right?
Yeah.
But there's not really many people in between. Well, I think it's more so in the sense that like the book describes the top 10% having power, right? Mm-hmm. And there's more podcasts too that expand on different points. But to your point, that what happens if the system, like I think we both agree that the system wouldn't necessarily collapse, and it might actually be a benefit to the system of empowering more people, right? Mm-hmm. I also do want to say that I don't think the book is like a revolutionary, like not revolutionary in that sense of like, inciting a mass revolution and like overtaking the powerful. But at the same time, I don't think it's a secret rule book to be able to gain power so you become the top 1%. I think it's purely the nature of the book is to make you more cognizant of the systems in place that the societal systems that are in place, so that you can choose, or you can have more so basically you can have the choice of doing what you want instead of thinking that you're limited, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like basically just making you more aware of the nature of the world, I think.
Yeah, in a world where, because the book talks about how everybody has this like light in them, these
like the seeds, right?
These seeds, everybody has kind of value in them, and in a world where, so everybody has value. That's like the basis we're kind of like operating on.
The foundational truth.
Now, if most people don't actually use it, it's not good for the system either. Like if most people have their value and not like fully manifest them, so it's good for the system to have the bottom majority manifest their values and bring them into the system itself too. And
I think
it's not going to be like a revolution. Like people shouldn't see the bottom majority shouldn't want to overthrow the top, but instead to try to
like raise it. Can I interject? I think what I think and what I think you're trying to say is like raising the vibration of the whole system, right?
Yeah.
Like not operating this society in a world of like greed, fear, and like basically just like it sounds kind of new age a little bit, like, but like raising the vibration in a vibration of love and like. Are you familiar with that that graph that shows like fear, greed, and stuff at the bottom, and then like love and stuff at the top?
Not really familiar. No. What is it though?
I can't remember what the name it is, but it categorizes each of these emotions, and like it puts like fear at the very bottom and love at the very top, and in between there's like all these different types of emotions or like things that you can feel, right? But I think to that, like, not to stray too far from the point of what we were trying to make, is that I think it wouldn't be bad to empower more and more people to realize their full potential. Not even their full potential, but just being cognizant of the fact that they are capable of more than they think. you know, or like realizing that there's power in connection and power within oneself. Like, not limit. Like, I think the book is really trying to squash some of your limiting, like not your, but like people's limiting beliefs.
Yeah, it is. The book is definitely trying to do that. But to the point one, what would happen if everybody becomes empowered? And it, by the way, I think we can take longer to think too. I feel like so far in the podcast, we're just trying to like fill empty space.
Yeah. Not
have any moment of silence. But it's okay to like think for long periods of time before speaking too.
Okay. Yeah.
I think maybe it comes off better too for the audience. Like, oh, this guy's actually thinking. He's not trying to like anxiously.
Yeah. Do you feel like we're anxiously talking right now?
Huh?
I would agree with that point. But yeah, well, I'll be more cognizant. We'll take time to
feel free to like
think a little
more. Feel free to think. Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I don't think. Yeah. I can't really describe what I'm trying to. What I think, but that well. But I guess the overall feeling of what should be the right thing to do, or what should happen in a perfect world, I think, is where you still have that structure where there's always going to be a hierarchy. Like,
there's got to be people at the top and bottom.
Yeah, in order for the system to be self-preserving, you know, like for it not to be like total anarchy, but but everybody should, in a perfect world, in a perfect system, everybody realizes their full potential. They manifest it, and the result of that manifestation would be a stable pyramid, a stable pyramid where everybody is at exactly the right place that they need to be or are destined to be, like, in that hierarchy.
Like, is it like vertical mobility, that kind of concept? Like,
there should be
resources to climb up or go down as you want.
Well, I think everybody. I don't know. I think it's good for everybody to be at that place where exactly they need to be in the hierarchy, you know, and everybody has a place in the hierarchy. Everybody has a place in this world because everybody has like inherent values. But the problem right now with that squished pyramid is that most people are at the bottom, and they should be somewhere in that pyramid. They should not be at the bottom. Most people should not be at the bottom because they have value in them. They need to find that place somewhere in that pyramid for the structure to be stable, for the structure of the hierarchy to be stable, for the structure of the hierarchy to be, for the entire system to be better than before, for an egalitarian, like, perfect world, and this is like going to be like kind of cringe, for heaven to be on earth.
Well, I don't think that's cringe at all, and honestly, it is something that, like, heaven on earth is something I've been thinking of in the back of my mind. Like, I kind of allude to it, of raising the vibration of the earth. Like, I'm sure you've heard of New Earth or whatever, and it's very much spiritual, but also, why can't we have heaven on earth? I do want to say, though, so you talk about, like, making the pyramid a better pyramid instead of the squash pyramid.
Yeah.
I want to challenge. I know I'm being a little contrarian, but
don't worry about it, dude. This is I'm all for it.
What happens if?
I mean, I'm gonna rip you apart, but I'm gonna rip you a new asshole. But
what happens if? What happens, like, especially with technology, and I want to weave technology into this, like AI and everything. Is what happens.
Oh, jeez.
Oh yeah.
We're getting there. We're going there.
What happens if, say, AI takes over and we concentrate all the power towards technology, and then we're all equal underneath it?
I don't think that's gonna. That could happen. I'm not gonna deny that possibility. I mean, first of all, I don't think I know enough to like to like either to like reject it or not. But what I will say is, I hope, and I do feel like this is likely, is that AI actually empowers us, the bottom majority, to create a more stable, to create a more like balanced
pyramid.
Yes.
I think to that point, like if it weren't for this this book app from Gemini from Google, being able to like synthesize all this volume of books from English One into a digestible format for my pea brain to digest, right? Then we wouldn't be having this conversation in the first place, right?
Yeah, so I guess maybe.
So I think, yeah, continue.
No. Go ahead.
I was just saying,
gonna
like,
agree with you.
Yeah, I think if anything, AI can be used as a tool to leverage one's power. But at the same time, it's a open. It's like anyone can use it, right? Well, not anyone. I shouldn't be that. Like people who don't have access to technology or something wouldn't be able to use it. But in this context, like, yeah, we have the ability to access AI, but so do the people already at the top. So how does that play? You know? What's your opinion?
Do you think people at the top are going to use AI to like suppress us?
Well,
I guess if that is the case, if the people at the top are actually like maliciously trying to squeeze the pyramid, then I think there's a problem. Then I think there needs to be maybe an equal and opposing motivation by the bottom majority to balance it out.
A balance of power. Is that what you're arguing?
Yeah, but the book itself mentions that the people at the top are not actually malicious. That this like hierarchical squeeze pyramid is not coming from a malicious place. That these guidelines that the system that the system's self-preserving
so it's not the people
structure is not malicious. Then that's what the book talks about. This system's self-preserving guidelines are not malicious in nature. Is I like that, and I think that is how things should be. I don't know if that is actually how things are, though. I hope it is.
Well, I think to your point, I do want to say that it's kind of like don't hate the player, hate the game kind of deal, right? Like it's not like the people, like the billionaires or even the people behind the scenes who are maybe like is or is not controlling things or whatever. If they are not to be like, we shouldn't hate them as people. We should just not. Like, it's not the people, it's just maybe they understand something we don't. And maybe that is the case because there's a reason they're, controlling everything or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But do you kind of sympathize with the people at the top because they maybe understand that society needs to be the way it is? And we don't know what's happening in the world 100%, but at least I don't. But there's a reason behind everything. Would you argue that?
Yeah. That, like, for example, the CEO of a company has a perspective that employees don't have because simply, at least this is what I think, this is where a lot of people differ in views. Like, I think the CEO of a company has understanding of the system that people further down just don't understand. They see things from a bigger picture, like how things should be. Like, for example, an intern might have the idea like, oh, I should be CEO. To take a very naive case, like I want to be CEO. I think I can be CEO. But does the intern have the understanding that you have to have discussions with different parts of the company to manage it? Or you have to have like investor meetings at a firm. You have to meet with investors. You have to meet with.
Sometimes you have to fire people.
The CTO. You have to ensure that the corporation is lean and structured to preserve the existence of the
company.
So I do think that to your point, that people higher up in that hierarchy do have understandings that people further down don't understand. And I think our responsibility as people like lower is just to find the place in that pyramid that you rightfully belong at and try to manifest the value that is inherent in you.
Right. I think it's what's the problem, and I say this in like my opinion is what the problem is like it's ingrained to us at a very young age and like constantly throughout our adult life that we have to strive for the top upper echelons of society, that we need these fast cars, all this money, a private jet, because like material, like we're very much ingrained, like the materialistic world is very much ingrained, especially in Western society. I don't know if you can speak to like Eastern society, but like at least in the Western world, from what I've perceived, is like, you know, you're supposed to grind in your 20s, you're supposed to get the big house and the, you know, I would like to argue, like I would like to argue that point and say that maybe, like, I know the secrets of power and all that stuff, like empowerment, it sounds very much like, oh, like very big ideas and all this stuff, but maybe the true power is like being content with where you are.
Yeah,
I get that. That's a little contrary to the point of the book too. I think the book wants you to explore these empowerment and like, but maybe the book also wants you to realize that sometimes, like that in the podcast, I was saying like the gardener and the gardener tending to a plant is has more power than like the boardroom executives moving millions of dollars, right? Like, I think that relates to my point in that finding power in the maybe mundane parts of life is true empowerment. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch, but
finding empowerment in the mundane parts of life. I feel like what you're saying is kind of in line with the idea of like finding your place in the structure. Instead of everybody aiming for the top, everybody should just be aiming for their place in the structure. Yeah. And for most people that place is higher, which is why for most people that place is up. You know, for most people they have to go up.
Like the upward mobility factor?
Yeah, for most people they have to go up and have have the ability to go up, aka upward mobility, to be able to find their place in that hierarchy.
Would you argue, Caleb, that the major point of the book, or the major point of like this discussion, is the fact that maybe the structure itself isn't bad, right? Uh-huh. I think that's a point you've been kind of touching on.
Well, that's the book's point. The structure isn't bad.
Well, I think the book, yeah, okay. I agree. But also, maybe the point also is that the structure isn't necessarily bad, but there needs to be more upward mobility, or the ability to, like you said, find your place in the pyramid or find your place in society. Like, I guess, yeah, you would agree with that point because that's the point you've been making this whole time, right?
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
It's just interesting, you know, it's, and again, this volume of books is older. It's not like, I know there's other books that come to mind when you think of power, like the 48 Laws of Power or something. Uh-huh. I don't think the book necessarily sees power in that frame of like, I think both, like, I've never personally read the 48 Laws of Power, but I can gather bits and pieces from it.
Me neither. I haven't read it. But I just want to wrap it up though. We finished discussing all those points, and point one, I think we wrapped it up pretty well with. Yeah. I think so. I mean, not officially, but now we can go on and talk about whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think we can keep it kind of in the theme of the book too, but talk about other stuff. I guess we can bring it into what are some things that stand out to you that we maybe haven't discussed yet. For me personally, I think what stands out to me in terms of and this is a personal introspective ideal, right, is that part of the reason why giving more context, I found out about this set of books because I was in a little used bookstore in Denver, Colorado, and I was looking through the books, and it just it stuck out to me because I was like, oh, Secrets of Power, what the hell is that?
You're hungry for power.
Yes, to your point, Caleb, in my delusionals, in the past, like when I had manic episodes and stuff, I thought I was Jesus, I thought I was God, I thought I was going to be the...
You can elaborate more on why that is, like your background and stuff.
My background?
You want.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Like your history.
Yeah, so I think that comes from like ingrained, like an inherent Messiah complex that I may have, because growing up, I've seen like there's certain things I want to change growing up, but I felt powerless to. So now that I'm older, I feel like I want to change, like I want to make the world a better place or whatever, I think there's all these like things, the traumas or life experiences that you have growing up should definitely shape your psyche.
What were they? Now we're going deep, bro. I don't know if you want to talk about it on the podcast. We can end it here too.
No, we can keep it rolling. I'll go as deep as I want to.
Okay.
Like,
sure.
I don't think I need to go too deep.
Sure.
But just the standard stuff of like not having a father figure, not having a stable father figure or a good one, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of second that. I share that, but.
Yeah, I think like it doesn't make me special. Like I'm not the only person in the world it's actually very quite common for people with bipolar actually to have these religious delusions of grandeur or thinking they're Jesus, or it's not like I'm the only one who's thought they were Jesus, right? It's actually pretty quite common, and it's something that I want to explore more actually. But reeling it back to the point, that's the reason why I was drawn to this book, The Secrets of Power, because I was curious about, I'll admit, like I was curious about how do I gain more power, because at the time, 3 years ago, I was like, I wanted to be like powerful in life or whatever, or like have this ability to exert my will onto the world, I guess. I mean, it's different now. You grow a lot in a few years. Not saying that I don't like. It would be cool to have some sway, but I think nowadays I realize that the power that everyone has and the power that I have is within the day-to-day things that you do. Because personally, I always have attested. I've always had this thought that if I just influence one person's life positively, then I can then I've lived my purpose in life. I just like I don't know if it's like very much too positive, but I want to be able to leave a positive impact on the world, and that's probably why I thought that's probably why my manic mind and my delusions gravitated toward, because I grew up Christian or Roman Catholic, and Jesus is the person who saves everyone, So I wanted to be that person. And admittedly, I still have inklings of that, admittedly, but the meds keep me grounded. And, the meds.
Are you on meds or off meds?
Well, look, I'm off meds, on the meds, everywhere between now. I take my medications.
Nice Kanye
reference. Yeah. Bipolar is my superpower. I'm a superhero. Nah, shout out mental illness. No, that's where I'm coming from. That's why I got the book in the first place.
I see. Yeah, thanks for sharing that book. I thought I wasn't gonna get what I got out of this. I did not expect to get what I got out of this, so I appreciate you sharing that. And sometimes you provide. Sometimes we provide value in ways we never expect.
That's true.
Like sometimes when I hang out with a friend, just by being there, like I'm literally not doing anything. I'm just being myself, and the friend like just really appreciates my presence. Like I have a friend who's who I won't name, who's in Mexico City right now. You know who I'm talking. Yeah, we've met. You know, it's nice to like hang out with people, and I think it's a good idea to never separate yourself from the system, from society, from the broader from broader society, because we're all like in the shit together, you know.
For sure.
There's a in Chinese it's called 人类命运共同体, which means like there is a idea of a not a hive mind, but a group's collective conscious or collective fate. Like we're all part of this world, and we should learn to coexist and like have
collectivism, kind of. Would you say collectivism is a?
What is collectivism? I don't.
So I know like I don't know too much about it, but I know like the West is more individualist and the East is more collectivist generally, right? And collectivism is just like focusing on the harmony with others, and like it's interesting because you would think with Secrets of Power, with the book that we just listened to, that it would be very much focused, and it is focused on the individual powers of the individual, right? And to finish that point, like individualism is like, pull yourself up from your bootstraps type of mentality, like very much American or Western society is like on the individualist side. But to that point, I think the book blends both ideas together pretty well. Like it examines the innate power of the self of individuals, but also examines the societal power structure. So that's I know that was trying to answer your point of like what individual versus collectivism is, but
okay. Yeah, I do believe in like harmony and stuff, and that was the point of the Adlerian book that I picked up in Beijing.
What was it called again?
There's two books. One is called The Courage to be Disliked, and in Chinese it's called 被讨厌的勇气, and the second book is called The Courage to Find Happiness, and in Chinese it's called 幸福的勇气. And like Adlerian, one of like Adler's, the points in that book, which now, by the way, I'm reading the actual Adlerian book called What Life Should Mean to You, I think, or in Chinese 活出生命的意义 or something like that, I think. But one of the ideas is like that all the problems in life are coming from your relationship with other people, and that we should learn to coexist, and it's possible to coexist in harmony, and that's also in line with the book that we just listened to, the podcast idea of like harmony, hierarchical harmony. Yeah. So we went like 53 minutes. We went longer than the podcast itself.
Yapping.
Dude, hell yeah! I think we did a.
I honestly think this is like. Do you want to wrap it up now?
Yeah, sure. We can wrap it up. We're on our way to John's house to hang out for the weekend.
Yes,
but
sir.
yeah, it's good to record this. You know, on a drive too. We should do this more often.
Yeah, I think driving like that's a valid. Like we're not just sitting around. We are sitting, but you know we're.
Do you want to like wrap it up with an introduction of who you are and?
Oh yeah,
who we are and stuff, and what we are doing in life and stuff. Just like for people, for like audience. I don't know who our audience is,
but like anyone who vibes with it, you know.
Yeah, but who are you, and what do you do? What do you like, and what you think of life? What you're trying to be? And stuff.
Everything. Okay. We lived in the city of Stanford. We've just. It's funny because Caleb reminds me of the meme of like. Friends that you've had a long time, which I do have a friend that I've had since high school and stuff, and then it's like that one person that popped up in your life and it's like, you know what I mean?
What?
like it's a I don't know. It's a
okay.
meme. I'll probably show you later. But yeah, Caleb's been a good friend since we met. Was it last year? No, it was last year.
Yeah,
Oh,
last year, February.
Yeah, February last year. Yeah, a month and a year. A year and a month. But yeah, I just I'm here on this journey of I hate everyone's trying to improve themselves, right? I think I'm just in a journey of trying to figure out, or not even figure out. I think we're all trying to figure stuff out, but I'm just trying to experience life for what it is, you know? That's all. How about you, Caleb? Who are you?
My interest is in, I don't know, I feel like I've always been interested in the world, and my background is kind of like in, I don't know, I feel like I had a lot of interests going on, but one was like paying attention to the news. I enjoy what's going on in the world. I always feel like I have this like naively positive view on the world. I'm trying to like influence it positively, kind of like you. I want to be a positive influence on the world, and I feel like young people, that's good for young people in general.
Yeah, I think it's as long as everyone had, like, especially young people, speaking as young people, like we have this naive view of that. And it's not necessarily naive, like in a bad sense. It's just the fact that we don't have that much life experience yet, right?
Well, we also have no responsibilities. I don't gotta care about bringing my kids to fucking hockey. Shout out to freedom, I guess. Shout out to not like being tied down. Lol.
Oh boy, not with the old ball and chain, right?
Lol. No. I wouldn't say it's ball and chain though. Like it's like being like finding your place in the hierarchy.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah, I think that's a good wrap up, man.
Yeah, cool. Excited to have more conversations like this in the future.
For sure.
Maybe we can bring other friends into here.
Yeah.
Future is
bright.
Now. All right, cool.
All right.
Peace. Goodbye.